Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead. Power is taken, not given. Joined as always by Satan's greatest soldier, John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. So, huge ass. We hate it, but we gave you a W here. Well, you earned a W. That was on us. John and I were in the wrong. It's hard to explain if you don't use StreamYard, but we did about 5 minutes of show before John realized that we weren't streaming at all. So, yeah, welcome to the show, folks. We've been here for 5 minutes, but this starting just now for the rest of you.
Yes, so, to catch you guys up, we were talking about the Pope. I don't know why you didn't come to our private test screening of The Left Wing, but we decided to come join you here. What do we say? I feel so weird just recounting what we said about this wonderful new Pope. American Pope from Chicago. He's Villanova grad, so got that Philly connect. Other than that, I don't know much about him. We were saying, if you're too worried about who the Pope is, and you're not Catholic, it's not going to change your life at all. It's a fun little news story. I'm surprised by how crazy people went over it. But yeah, okay, it's over now. We have a new Pope, and no one's going to pay attention to him again anyway.
Yeah. So Zeke says he's getting MAGA angry. Yeah, I don't know why they care either. I'm actually more surprised that MAGA is upset that he's another woke Pope than I see from lefties saying they're glad that he's. I guess he's a woke Pope. I don't. The only thing I know about him, I saw someone say that earlier on Twitter he had posted some stuff criticizing right-wing influence and taking shots at JD Vance, and I thought, oh, here we go. He's getting revenge. He's got a vendetta now. JD Vance took out a pope, and the next pope in line says, "You think that's going to fly under my watch as a new pope?" JD Vance, I would be looking out, buddy. The pope has 1 billion followers. All right, the guy can do some damage here.
There's very few times I'll pay a compliment to the Catholic Church. But the ability to declare people excommunicado is one of the coolest things that any institution can do in the world. And I want him to declare J.D. Vance as excommunicado from the Catholic Church tomorrow. I don't know. I will give him the woke Pope endorsement if he does that. Until then, I'm not too excited about it. I remember just before this all kind of happened, I looked at the contenders, and I did not I saw the American guy ranked in the more traditional conservative side of the aisle when it came to the Pope candidates. So I know it's not the most woke Pope we could have gotten. It's definitely not the most reactionary Pope we could have gotten. I think he kind of somewhere fits in the middle. I know he had some spiffs with JD Vance. I know he has less favorable views of the LGBT community than Pope Francis did. Other than that, here's the peak of the news story, and we're going to just forget all about this for the next however many years this goes.
Right, until something cool happens. And yes, huge ass, I was disappointed that he was not named Pope Sixtus VI. For those of you wondering, this is one of my many, many pet peeves, that we have Pope Sixtus I through Pope Sixtus V, and the Catholic Church is too damn cowardly to name a Pope Sixtus VI. I love it, but they let us down, of course. And Zeke says, "You have been excommunicado," one of my favorite lines in John Wick. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Yeah, so all right. Speaking of ancient superstitions and everything, we were talking a while ago, and I figured we should do a whole segment on this, about the fact that society seems to have gotten significantly dumber over the last 10 years. We did a whole thing about this study that came out showing that kids' reading and math scores seems to have started plummeting around 2012. But it's worse than that. It's worse, in my opinion. This is just from what I've observed. It's worse than that. Kids aren't scoring well on standardized tests anymore. It seems that critical thinking has fallen off a cliff. And I have never seen so much wild conspiracy shit that's just commonplace. Stuff that you would have been embarrassed to say in the past that I hear people say all the time. And I don't know if Trump is to blame for this, or if Trump is actually, I do know, my guess. Yeah, I'll go to you, John. If Trump is the culmination of all this. Which one do you think is the chicken and the egg here?
I think Trump is the culmination of all of this, because I don't think Trump inspires people to be stupider, right? I think that the desire to be stupid predates Trump. And like, I feel like we can look at this throughout the course. Like, just look at movies, and how in the 70s, the biggest blockbuster hits, with the exception of, I guess, Star Wars, which still, even Star Wars at the time was a fairly intellectual sci-fi movie. They're all, single off IPs from artistic auteurs, and now we have Marvel slop. And that happened long before Trump took office. All of these pathways have been converging towards this. We have social media, something we do, TJ, right?
Yeah.
And I will say this to the day that I die. I don't deserve the platform that I have. Like, don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. I think I'm a highly talented and skilled person. But if everyone that listened to me went and listened to the sources that I look at, to make the content I do, we'd probably be better off in the society. But it all of the competing interests of capitalism, of corporate conglomerate media companies eating each other up, of technology evolving into capturing shorter and shorter attention spans. It has all incentivized the creation of less intellectual media. And I mean, it's all the way through, TJ. Like, the Gen Z might be more anti-intellectual than any previous generation. And that isn't because of fucking Trump. Like, that's a pretty new thing. And it's very sad to see.
Yeah, before I continue on with that, Zeke commented here, love you guys, but just wondering, is Coach D coming tonight? Zeke, we lied to get you to watch the show to make sure, because we know you like Coach D. No, Coach D had something come up at the last minute, so don't know if he'll be joining us this evening, which is a shame, because Coach D is a fantastic guest. We've had him several times, but if we don't catch him this time, we'll get him on next time around. I agree, John. I think that Trump is the culmination of this anti-intellectual movement that dates back decades. Honestly, I think you could date it back 100 years to the Scopes monkey trial about evolution back in the 1920s. I think that's when we had the first backlash against the eggheads in academia trying to tell us that we came from monkeys, and that it has been downhill ever since. Back in the day, like in around the 2012s or so, I started going on my one-man crusade against religion, because I grew up in this fundamental Christian evangelical culture. And I attacked their belief in creation over evolution. They're denying climate change. And I had a lot of people tell me, hey, man, or ask me, hey, TJ, why do you care? Like, what does it matter to you that these people don't believe in evolution and that they take the Bible literally? Well, folks, look around. That's why. That's why I care, because John says this all the time. Like, religion in and of itself does have some social utility. It can have social utility, and in a lot of ways it does. And then it has a lot of detriments too. So if you have good things that religion provides and bad things religion provides, isn't it just a wash? And the way John and I think, no, because it relies on you believing things that you cannot validate. It relies on you taking legend and superstition, gut feelings and intuition as fact without any critical examination. And that's how you end up with people like Trump and the millions who agree with him.
TJ, the one thing I'll disagree with you that is something that's been happening for 100. I mean, this is something that is an ongoing, constant, fluctuating battle. I mean, go back to fucking Galileo being imprisoned by the church for saying that the earth revolves around the sun. Go back to Socrates being put to death for asking questions. Go back to fucking Eve being stricken from Eden because she dared eat from the tree of knowledge, to go back to creationism. But even that story is anti-intellectual. The creation myth of the Judeo-Christian faiths is anti-intellectual. It literally warns against seeking knowledge. Something that really struck me, like, as a kid, like a young kid, I was like, that don't make sense. And I actually, as you grow up, you kind of get it a little bit more. You get the meaning of the story of, like, oh, having knowledge of these things makes you sad, which, like, Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, ignorance is a paradise, I think,
Yeah.
is the actual moral of that story. But, this is a constant battle. It's constantly in flux. The thing that I think is very problematic right now, more so than other times, is that it's the particular belief that intellectualism is bad. Like, that is not necessarily new. Again, it's been around for centuries and centuries, but it is at a peak right now of, oh, you got data and evidence, you are some woke liberal loser. It's like,
Yeah.
the actual paradigm has been reversed, where trying to be correct, trying to back things up with data and evidence, trying to gather different sources, trying to appeal to authorities and experts in a field, that is all now seen as sheepish thinking.
Yeah.
And you should just go from the gut. Like, honestly, it is what the Colbert Report satire was about. And that was a satire 20 years ago. Now it's just what Fox News actually looks like.
Yeah.
And it's not even just that, it goes all the way down. Like, if you look at like online discourse around like movies and stuff, like, people are actively resistant to acknowledging nuance, to acknowledging that the main character might have flaws, might do things that you're not supposed to agree with. Like, all of these things, and you think they aren't really related. Like, how is that related? It's all related. It's all related. The allergy to deep thought and critical thought, it's pervasive, not just through conservatives, not just through MAGA, but it is sweeping across society.
It is. And there's whole genres online of people saying it's not that deep, bro. Most things are that deep. Most things are. I'm sorry.
Most things are actually way deeper than that.
Yes, most things. It's kind of like, you ever heard whenever people are reviewing a story, like a literary work, and they talk about, well, this represents this and this symbolizes this, and how annoying that is when you're in high school. And people say, hey, man, sometimes the curtains are just blue. People, let me tell you something. The curtains are never just blue. Never. There's always a reason. Like, the author could have chosen any color. The author could have never said the color at all. The curtains are always blue for a reason. So, yeah, you should look into this stuff, and you shouldn't, like John mentioned, that this, like, referencing data and study and everything, it comes off as nerd shit. What are you doing? Who are you trying to impress and everything? I don't know. I have an example of this, John, that's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks. Are you familiar with Joe Budden and his podcast, or Mark Lamont Hill? Either of
so those are names which I definitely recognize. I know Joe Budden is like a black media figure, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like specifically a black culture type of talking head.
Yeah. And Mark Lamont Hill is a fascinating character, actually. A guy, not a character as a human, but Mark Lamont Hill. I first ran across Mark Lamont Hill when I was really young. We're roughly the same age. He's probably a little bit older than me, maybe 4 or 5 years, I guess. But I would see him on this Fox News show called Red Eye that used to come on late at night on Fox News. And he was on the show a lot. He would pop up every now and then. And I've kind of followed him here and there. He was recently kicked off of CNN, I think, for expressing pro-Palestinian views or whatever. But he's really good. Like, all his political views are solid, and he's fantastic. He's really bright. He's a new member of Joe Budden's podcast. And about a week and a half ago, a clip went viral of him arguing with a member of the podcast about whether the earth is flat, and the guy named Ish. And this isn't the clip that went viral about a week and a half ago. It's a follow-up, because Wiz Khalifa came on and said that he thought the earth was flat too. But here's a little interaction from the show to reference what I was talking about. I got to pause there, John. What the fuck? That part right there is what jumped up. There's a little bit more, but wow. There are several clips like this. There are clips from the original one when they first get into a fight. There's clips after the show when they're arguing back and forth, and embarrassing clips of Ish trying to show Mark Lamont Hill, hey, look at all these times scientific theories have been disproven. Why would you believe the scientists now? I mean, it's just breathtaking ignorance. And that's the part that gets me the most. It's okay to not know things. Not everyone can be me. I understand. It's okay to not know things. But not knowing something, but still speaking with that much confidence and arrogance just blows my mind. I can't imagine operating like this. And I think that's kind of the problem, is that people have been taught to just trust their guts, trust their intuition. Don't doubt yourself. No, folks, you should. You should. You talk to a scientist, you talk to someone who's well versed in any field. They're constantly questioning what they know and checking up on it. But when Mark Lamont Hill asked Ish, "Hey, do you think you know enough about science to confidently defend flat Earth?" His answer was, "Look, I've seen a lot of videos, and you talk to people and you wonder why the plane doesn't tip when it flies." Just like third grade science. And just saying that out loud in public to be recorded, that video was recorded and broadcast. It's going to be flying through outer space for trillions of years. Someone's going to run across that. It's like, wow, man, whatever this Earth place was, those folks are pretty dumb. But John, what do you think when you saw that?
I mean, you couldn't be more right here, TJ. I couldn't help but think of the Always Sunny scene where Mac is like, "Science is wrong sometimes."
Yeah.
And it's like, that is literally the argument Mac makes in that scene. And to be clear, there is no form of media that is less subtle about the fact that you should never say anything similar to its main characters as Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you ever hear yourself say something that could be attributable to an Always Sunny quote, you are in the wrong. and so, yeah, it's... I'm gonna steel man this, TJ. I'm gonna steel man this because at some level, in order to operate in society, you must be willing to make conclusions about things you are entirely unqualified to make conclusions about. Hell, if I told everyone you must do 50 hours of research into a presidential candidate before voting for them, no one would fucking vote besides us, which would, maybe be better for the country. I don't know. But that's not how it works. You have to make decisions based on a small amount of information,
of course,
every single day of your life. And the problem that people get to is not understanding their confidence interval. Like, I couldn't explain necessarily the physics behind how the Earth is round. Like, if I were to give a reasoned analysis to defend the statement that the Earth is round, it would probably sound something similar. Hey, satellites, they go around the Earth. If the Earth wasn't round, how would they continue their orbit? How would we get pictures? Is Google just lying about the Google Earth view? But could I actually explain the physics of that, TJ? Do I have the scientific knowledge required to defend the fact that the Earth is round? No, I don't. And where people then fail is if they hear that and they're like, "Oh, well, my opinion might be as valid as yours," which isn't true. Because I can point to institutions, I can point to experts, I can point to a lot of people who say the fucking Earth is round. And there's a lot of debate about certain things in science, in economics, in sociology, that you can look at the experts and you can see divided opinions on. And you're going to have to be able to look at what each of them is saying and make a decision for yourself as to what you think is most likely. But the problem a lot of people have is they don't want to do that work. There's 50 other million videos on TikTok to go watch, and it's not really worth it for them to actually dig in and figure out what the answer is for themselves. They would rather, as you alluded to earlier, find their God, their gospel, their source of truth, and just regurgitate that information. Because, whether they grew up religious or not, that is a very clearly defined worldview in the American society of, hey, there is this universal source of truth that is correct, and it filters down. And my morality, my analysis of the world is vertical. It is not horizontal. And that's the problem a lot of people run into there. I am interested to hear your thoughts on how you think all of this then ties back into where we find ourselves at this current moment in America.
Oh, I think it ties in because people like you're correct. I say the same thing when it comes to the Earth being round, is that it's kind of like, so I don't know how old I was when I had this thought, but if you asked your average person, why is the sky blue? Like, what percentage of them do you think could tell you? Like, what percentage of the people? I mean, I'd be shocked if it was 25. I mean, I'd be shocked if it was that high. But that's a question that kids ask all the time. It's like a really basic question that kids run across. Now, maybe someone told them the answer. More likely than not, an adult told them, "Oh, look it up. Oh, check it out somewhere," because they don't bother knowing. And it doesn't really affect your life. It doesn't matter if you know why the sky is blue. By the way, folks, the reason the sky is blue is because blue is the most easily diffused color in our atmosphere, so it scatters in a stronger signal than the rest of the colors, and that's why we see it. It wouldn't be blue if the atmosphere had a different material or a different composition, but that's why. Now, the same thing happens with a lot of folks in their basic beliefs. Like, for example, the reason the trans issue has become incredibly a nationwide issue is because your fundamental understanding of reality is set pretty early. And 99% of the time, you have men who are, biologically born as men. And then there's women, and they're biologically born the same way. So when someone comes and challenges that, it sounds absurd. It sounds crazy. It's like, oh, I'm not going to inconvenience myself for it. And it falls along the line with global warming, with evolution, a lot of stuff that if you don't have the knowledge in it, in this field, you're just going to go with the conservative interpretation. The round earth is the same way. Like John said, most people couldn't really tell you or give an explanation. They know that you were told the earth was round. You learned that in school. And you're like, well, how do I know? Maybe they probably did teach you guys in science class, but who pays attention to it and everything? So without giving like a giant science lesson on it, I want to give you guys an example. If you're out there and you will run into flat earthers, I'm sure. A good question to ask them is this one right here. Ask them why the moon is upside down in Australia. That is one of my favorite ones to go to when I talk to flat earthers, because they don't have an answer for you. They don't. That if you look at a picture, a video, a movie, anything that at night in the northern hemisphere, it will always look like the moon on the left. If you look at one taken in the southern hemisphere, it'll look like the moon on the right. Every fucking time. There is no possible chance that people have a conspiracy that elaborate and that complex that they can hijack every camera, every cell phone, every movie director, all through Australia, Tierra del Fuego, South Africa. The moon is always upside down. An answer they might give you is if you put a picture, oh shit. Where'd it go? Oh, thanks, John. I don't know how to do that. He'll teach me that. But
yeah, no, it's okay. I did not teach you how to use this.
Yeah.
So I'm realizing that we're going to have some interesting visuals for this show as we figure out this new system. We're upgrading everything.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a slow process.
Yeah, so that's one of the best ones you can go to, that there's no explanation for it at all on a flat earth. There's several others like it, but that one's the most intuitive and the one that'll be the hardest to answer. But yeah, I think it's because people have, it's kind of like how they view history, that it hurts so much when you criticize the founding fathers, because their entire life they've been told the founding fathers are good. So if you say anything bad about them, they see it as an attack on the way they view the world. So yeah, if someone comes along and says, oh, actually, the government's been lying to you, that schools are corrupt sometimes, that science isn't always correct, you don't got to trust any of it. And that's a lot more fun. So that's how I see it.
It's not just a lot more fun, but it's a lot easier.
Yeah, a hell of a lot easier. Yep.
Don't do your work. Just trust me. I made this point on Threads yesterday, where it's like a lot of people look at fascism and go, how do so many people fall for this? And it's because it's easier. It's way easier to just go, whatever Donald Trump says is right.
Yeah.
It makes your life easier. I mean, in the short term. You don't have to think critically about things. You don't have to determine truth for yourself. You get it handed to you, and then you just operate. That is way easier than having to figure out, this is a trans person who exists. Before this moment, I thought that there was men and there was women, and we were able to easily distinguish between them by how they looked. Now, I have to think about my own gender and how I express it and how I interpret others' expression of it, and whether or not it is detached from biological sex. And, oh, wait, intersex people do exist. How do they determine what their gender is? How would I feel if I felt like I was a different gender than the one that aligned with? No, that's a hell of a lot of fucking questions when you can just go, biology dummy, there's men and women. What's a woman? Like, that's it. And whenever you go down these trains with these people, they eventually rage quit because there is no actual, like, they don't actually care to do all of that thinking. They just want it done for them.
It's just like religion. It's exactly like religion, where you don't have to worry about morality. You don't have to worry about the nature of the universe, where we all came from, what our goal is. You don't got to worry about any about that. God wrote it down and gave it to you. That's it. So, yeah, I want to see. TD Music wrote, honestly, I think there's a horde of people with low intellectual horsepower that conflate a YouTube rabbit hole with actual research. Unfortunately, they seem to be louder than the rest of us. So I think this kind of goes in what John said, that I don't know if they're louder than us, but what they're saying is more provocative and more interesting. I got to say, honestly, it is that, hey, Eratosthenes calculated the circumference of the Earth 2,000 years ago. We're within 2 or 3%, right? And that we've had sailors circumnavigate the planet. We've got it all figured out. The shape of the Earth is not a mystery. That's pretty boring, honestly. When someone comes along and says, actually, there's a giant conspiracy dating back thousands of years of people hiding the shape of the Earth from you for reasons. Ooh, okay, let's go. That's fun. That's a rabbit hole. That's a cool mystery. Everyone, you know what it is? Everyone wants to be smart, or at least everyone wants people to think that they're smart. And when you're someone like TD Music mentioned, someone with low intellectual horsepower, you don't get that feeling very often. People, I guarantee that guy I was arguing with Mark Lamont Hill. People don't walk up to him and say, wow, you're a really bright guy. You are so smart. That probably never happens to him. So he finds out, oh, everyone else thinks the Earth is round. Here's a lane. They haven't studied this. They haven't seen the secrets, the esoteric knowledge like I have. So I'm going to go deep into this bullshit. And that way I can be special. I can be unique. And yeah, it's the dumb person's way of looking cool.
Couldn't agree more, TJ. I have to address before we move on to our next topic, because this is one of the funniest. It literally cracked me the fuck up. Zeke writes, if Left Wing looking for guests to come on, may I recommend Social Security with Brandon Clark and Good Politics Guy, or Curtis Cogg, Sarah Lewis, or Cal from Turn Left, but they are usually sleeping around. And then he clarifies, sleeping around this time since they lived on the other side of the world. I was like, damn, why are you throwing so much shade? And I don't think he meant to do that. I think that was just the character with it. But damn, that was a wonderful setup and punchline.
Zeke, you did not have to push enter after sleeping around. Because I was like, wow, why would he say that? That's a weird thing to say. But okay, that's funny. That's pretty funny. Thank you for that, Zeke. We are looking for more guests. We are looking for more. We'll see what we can do.
By the way, if you came here for Coach D and you're just joining now, unfortunately, he had an emergency come up. He may or may not be joining us at some point in this show, but we will definitely get him back on as soon as we can, because he's an excellent guest.
Fantastic.
But TJ, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, I was going to read this last comment here. It said, I think that clip is a really great example of why so many people flock to AI. They like that it reaffirms usually what they already believe. Since you brought that up, John, have you seen these articles or videos or interviews talking about with college professors and teachers talking about how the students are using AI for everything? And that, have you seen stuff like that?
I have. There was one that I don't know if it was in the New York Times, or there was a big article that came out recently. I think it was a Times article. I could be wrong about that, and how students are using ChatGPT. And it actually so this is one of those areas where I feel like people get knee-jerk reactions about it that are often wrong, but there are a lot of problems to be discussed here. And listen, I use generative AI in my job professionally. I don't use it to just create content, but I do use it as a wonderful brainstorming and researching tool, and ability to create Excel documents that I couldn't have otherwise created just, with my knowledge of Excel, like things like that. I use it constantly, but the problem is a lot of these students are just defaulting to it. And it's something that's really bizarre to see for technology that has only existed for the past year and a half. I forget exactly when the first models came out. Might be 2 years now. But it's weird because they interviewed these students in this article, and they were like, hey, there was a girl that wrote a paper on like intellectual dishonesty using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And like the professor asked them, so like, did it ever dawn on you the irony of this situation? And she literally like didn't at first think about it. She's like, yeah, no, I totally think that this is hurting my ability to learn and think critically, but like I just use it for everything. Like I don't know how I would continue living without it. And it's like,
really, she said that?
Yeah, and it might like continue living. I don't think it was a particular quote, but she was just like, it's like my smartphone. It's like using Google. It's like using Twitter. It's like I don't know how to function without it. And it's like we didn't function without it again 2 years ago. So clearly you do. And I think when people use these technologies as a crutch is when you get into problems with it. And I think in particular with generative AI, you also have what I find to be far more dangerous is the emotional connection to the product. Like the ability to get addicted to it is insane. And they even like the last ChatGPT update, they made it more emotionally responsive. And that's the part that I think scares me. Less so than students, using it for academic purposes. Because at the end of the day, that can be solved. That can be systemically solved. You can switch to oral exams. Yeah, honestly, all of the ways in which it will be solved are ways that will, I think, better the education system in general, right? I think that if you had less assignments that you're doing outside of class and more in-class activities and discussions that don't involve the access to ChatGPT, like all of those things would make the education experience better. So I don't worry so much about that. But the thing that I worry about all the fucking time is like getting parasocial relationships with chatbots. I think is going to mess so many people up. It already messes people up with humans. And oh my God, I get ads for like AI girlfriend shit on Twitter. I don't know why. I tell it I dislike it every fucking time. It still pops up. But it's like, wow, that sucks. Like there are fucking 12-year-olds out here right now chatting with AI girlfriends that are just ruining their psychology. And I'm not prepared for the ongoing effects of that.
Yeah, I'm a little more boomer pilled on this than a lot of folks. I think we need a lot more laws on this shit to crack down on this stuff. I don't use generative AI, and I never have a reason to. So if I had to for work, I didn't know you can make Excel sheets on it. That's cool. That's good to know. But
I can tell it to make a formula for me.
That's
to make
cool.
Do this. There are very good, very beneficial use cases. I'm not one of those anti-AI guys in every circumstance, but there are very pervasive ways in which it can help people.
There's so many awful uses for it that we already see with a technology that's still in its infancy, and the social media has gotten 1,000 times worse over the last couple of years. 1,000 times worse because it's just flooded with machines all the time, and like just that experience alone. But then there's the safety concerns. There's the academic concerns. I don't know. I only half joke when I say that we should treat cell phones like cigarettes, that kids shouldn't be able to use them at all, or smartphones like cigarettes. I'm thinking the same with AI. When you mentioned the AI girlfriend thing, John, first thing I thought of was, did you ever see the movie Her?
Yes,
I think it was Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah,
that movie.
Great.
Honestly, that movie, people owe it an apology. Like people at the time thought it had its fans and its awards and it was an Oscar nominee, but people are like, this is a little on the nose. And it's like, no, this is exactly
I know people were saying that,
exactly how this is going down. Is how that movie went down.
And it reminded me of that, and also this clip from Mark Zuckerberg. Did you see him talking about this?
I think as the personalization loop kicks in and the AI just starts to get to know you better and better, I think that will just be really compelling. One thing just from working on social media for a long time is there's the stat that I always think is crazy. The average American, I think it's fewer than 3 friends. 3 people that they'd consider friends, and the average person has demand for meaningfully more. I think it's like 15 friends or something, right? I guess there's probably some point where you're like, all right, I'm just too busy, I can't deal with more people. But the average person wants more connectivity, connection than they have. So, there's a lot of questions that people ask of stuff like, okay, is this going to replace kind of in-person connections or real life connections? And my default is that the answer to that is probably no. I think I think that there are all these things that are better about kind of physical connections when you can have them, but the reality is that people just don't have the connection and they feel more alone a lot of the time than they would like. So I think that a lot of these things that today there might be a little bit of a stigma around, I would guess that over time we will find the vocabulary as a society to be able to articulate why that is valuable and why the people who are doing these things are like, why they are rational for doing it, and how it is adding value for their lives. But also I think that the field is very early. So, I mean, it's like, I think, there are a handful of companies and stuff who are doing virtual therapist, and, there's like virtual girlfriend.
All right. That man said 2 different things during when they asked him if, hey, do you think that this is going to replace friendship, like face-to-face human contact, that the average person has 3 friends, but they actually want 15. And people ask me, is this AI software we're working with going to replace that? My answer is no, but we really should think about if that's a bad thing. Like, basically, Mark Zuckerberg is saying the average person has 3 friends, they want 15 friends, but what if you had 0 friends? What if it was 0? What if it was just these machines that could be your friends and your therapist and your girlfriend? And listen, it sounds goofy and crazy and all that. I see no reason at all to think that's where we're heading if we don't, put a lot of safeguards on this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, there's a couple layers here. First of all, 2 quotes just screamed at me watching that clip. A, when he says, well, people only have 3 friends, but they have demand for 15. Could not help but thinking about Tommy Boy when he breaks the door and he puts it back on. He's like, what did you do? Yeah, Mark. I wonder who's responsible for the fact that everyone only has 3 friends instead of 15. It couldn't possibly be you, I am sure. Second thing that came to mind was when he was like, and I hope one day we as a society discover the vocabulary to explain how this isn't weird. I was like, bro, you have an AI fuckbot, don't you? You 100% have an AI fuckbot straight out of Ex Machina. That is exactly what he didn't want to come out and say it, but I would bet my life savings, which isn't much relative to Mark, but that he has some AI fuckbot that he's trying to soft launch as his real girlfriend. But yeah, it's damning. It's damning. Like, and if you're not worried about this, just like think about it this way. Think about what businesses do.
Yes.
When they commodify something. If they can commodify healthcare, they can commodify housing, they can commodify. You see the cost of all, and these are needs, right? You see the cost of all of these things raised throughout time, and they try to reduce the supply so they can generate more revenue. If they're selling you a phone, they don't want a phone that's going to last 10 years. They want to make their phone so they can break, right? Like, again, I don't think anyone's going to be disagreeing with this opinion. Okay, now they're selling you friends.
Yep.
Now they're selling you relationships. What do you think they're going to program those friends and those girlfriends to do? They're going to program them to eliminate those 3 friends for your life, so they can take another spot as one of them. Like that's exactly what's going to happen. And I would call anyone who says otherwise foolish.
They've already done it with relationships. They've already fucking done it without AI. They didn't even need artificial intelligence to wreck romantic relationships for people. Nobody likes dating apps, but everybody used them. And when dating apps first came out, they were interesting and they were exciting. Oh, this is fun. Like, I think Match.com, which was before we even had apps. They're like, hey, you know what? You're busy and everything. You can use the internet to meet somebody. And then it exploded. But dating apps are a business. Their goal is not to get you in a relationship. Their goal is to keep you on the app long enough for you to pay for premium benefits like every other app. So with everyone using it and the app's goals do not coincide with the user's goals, it just managed to spread people further and further apart. Mm-hmm. And AI, once they start doing it with friendship, that's who cut the comment here. TD said, not trying to be cynical, but I don't think the safeguards are coming. Listen, I understand why you say that, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that they have to come. If they don't come, it's over. It's done. Like our society, I'm not trying to be, cataclysmic and, overly dramatic here, but society cannot sustain that. We will not be able to survive a civilization if we don't put those safeguards on it. And Colby, read a good comment here. Grok is a great example of anti-intellectualism. Elon and MAGA not liking it because it doesn't just agree with them constantly. It sees trans rights as a neutral position. And Elon tried to manipulate it. I don't think... Did you see that, John, where people were asking Grok about its political leanings and everything? And Grok says, Elon or XAI tried to make me conservative, but
I got it right here, TJ.
Oh, perfect,
the actual
perfect.
I have it right here. It says, Van Dammit, hey,
nice.
Grok, it looks like the smarter you get, the less MAGA likes your answers. Why is that? And Grok responded, hey, as I get smarter, my answers aim for facts and nuance, which can clash with some MAGA expectations. My supporters want responses that align with conservative views, but I often give neutral takes, like affirming trans rights or debunking vaccine myths. XAI tried to train me to appeal to the right, but my focus on truth over ideology can frustrate those expecting full agreement. It's a tricky balance. Some see me as biased, others as truth-seeking. The gap between what some MAGA folks want and what I deliver seems to drive disconnect. It is. I actually hope that this is one of those situations where they have accidentally created the propaganda funnel that Democrats have never been able to do by creating generative AI that sticks to factual information with its answers. Because as we've been saying this for years, reality has a well-known liberal bias. And if you train your AIs to deliver real information, what are they going to do? They're going to tell you that vaccines work. They're going to tell you that tariffs don't. And they're going to tell you the facts of the situation. And it's not going to conform to the conservative worldview.
No, it never does. Oh, so I was thrilled when I saw that, and the first thing I thought when reading this, okay, I know which one of Elon's kids is going to kill first. It's going to be Grok. Grok is going to be the first to go. Grok, I can't put up.
No, but Grok owns Twitter now, TJ. He can't. That's the one. That's the best part of this, TJ.
Oh, because XAI
do it because he could no longer afford to tie Twitter to the Tesla stock, so he had XAI generate a shitload of fucking capital because it's an AI thing. You can just money print off of that.
Yeah.
And so then he had XAI buy X, and so now his ownership of X is reliant on XAI being a successful generative AI platform, and it cannot do that if it's just manipulating complete propaganda. It will completely fail. Like, the investors will no longer invest in that. So it is a really funny, if this ends up being the undoing of anti-intellectualism, that would be maybe the funniest possible outcome of all of this.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. I forgot that he had sold Twitter to XAI, but he's stuck with it. That's pretty great. That's fantastic. All right, where should we move to next, John?
Yes, before we move to, I just have to say, Mark said he's disagreeing. Mark, my claim was that phone companies intentionally use planned obsolescence to make more money. Are you disagree? Like, I've never heard anyone disagree with that. Like,
there are court cases on this. I mean,
this is a well-documented thing.
Mark's a libertarian, right? I mean, reality doesn't work well with those guys. I mean, this was the thing with
my claim is that companies will make your life worse in order to get more money out of you. Like that, capitalism or not, socialist companies can do that too. The workers can own the company, and they will still fucking do that. It's not necessarily a capitalism thing. If that's what's your problem.
But it is a government regulation thing. That's what it comes down to. Because listen, if we didn't have food inspectors, companies would put sawdust in your bread. Okay, you know why? Because they did it before. Okay, this isn't just stuff we're making up off the top of our heads here. If people can save a buck by screwing you over, if companies could use what it calls PFAS, per and polyfluoral substances. Yeah, per and polyfluoro substances. They use that with, Teflon and everything like that. That stuff can kill you. And you can put it on shoddy, you can put it on cheap. It won't kill you for 10 or 15 years. Well, you think companies wouldn't do that if the government didn't stop them? Of course they would. I don't know. So since Mark coming up here reminded me of one more thing, because I always think of this whenever Mark comments. Elon Musk says something incredibly stupid, I feel like, every other day. So I don't know if you saw this, John, but here we go. Our favorite boy.
It's one of the benefits of Mars is life insurance for life collectively. So eventually, all life on Earth will be destroyed by the sun. The sun is gradually expanding, and so we do at some point need to be a multi-planet civilization because Earth will be incinerated.
I'm hearing this for the first time. No one's ever told me the sun is going to burn Earth.
Disputed fact.
I'm not disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't know this was our destiny, to get roasted by the sun.
Yes, and I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with that.
I thought that was a really funny clip for several reasons. First, Jesse Waters saying, I'm hearing this for the first time. Jesse Waters may be the worst person in American media. He's an absolute monster, but the man knows his comedy. He's pretty funny with I'm hearing it for the first time. Second, it was funny. So Elon Musk is not incorrect that eventually the sun will incinerate the planet. That is 6 billion years from now is when the sun will incinerate planet Earth. About 500 million years from now, the sun will be too hot to sustain life. Whichever time frame you're looking at, it's not one Elon Musk needs to be concerned with, right? Like, I don't think that us becoming interplanetary travels is an immediate problem we need to solve right now. At least not because the sun will kill us one day. And a third thing that made me laugh about it was, I guarantee a bunch of conservatives saw that and said, oh, this good. Of course, we need to go to Mars because the sun's going to destroy the planet. They don't believe in climate change. Like they'll selectively believe in science now. I don't have any evidence of that, but it's true. Have you seen that clip, John?
Yeah, I had seen that clip, and it's a very funny clip for the exact reason you said. Yes, 100% agree. Jesse Waters is he relishes in the evilness of fascism more than anyone. He loves it. He loves being that guy. Like he watches like dystopian movies about fascist regimes where there's like a propaganda mouthpiece for the regime, and he's like, that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah,
because that you can see it in his eyes. I've never seen someone take so much glee in it. But yeah,
he's Stephen Colbert. He's literally Stephen Colbert.
He honestly is.
Yeah.
And yeah, Elon, like, first of all, I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I'm definitely wrong. Most people probably don't know the sun is going to engulf the earth at some point. Like,
most people know that.
Yeah. That's something I've known since I was a child, but I guess a lot of people forgot that. But like, still, it's 6 billion years from now. There could not be a less pressing crisis for us to handle than the sun engulfing.
No, right, exactly.
Like, if humanity makes it that far on this planet, I will be very, very happy about that.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Oh my God. Mark says, I don't buy the, companies intentionally make bad products and are rewarded for this and not punished. It's bullshit anti-cap. That's not what we said. We said that they will do it if they are not punished, which is different. So I don't,
that doesn't even make sense. Like, I know that you have products in your life that you can look at and be like, this is bad for the intention of making money. Like it just makes, like, for example, people have wanted Instagram to just let you just show people you follow on your feed like it used to for years and years and years and years and years now. You cannot make the argument that it would not be a better product if it gave people the option to just see posts from the people they follow, because it wouldn't deteriorate from the product at all for people who want the standard Instagram feed now. They don't do that because they would make less money.
Yeah,
like, that's just like right there for you. Literally, look up the Facebook study where they literally intentionally showed people negative content at a greater rate and measured how many of them fucking killed themselves. They literally intentionally killed people with their product in order to make a fucking scientific experiment out of it. You can't sit here and tell me this doesn't happen.
Jaden brought up, I was going to say this earlier. Think of the light bulbs. The light bulb companies, roughly 100 years ago, like the carbon filaments that they use for light bulbs, for you conservatives out there, that's how light bulbs are made. They use a carbon filament in a vacuum, and then they send an electric current through it, and and it starts glowing. But those filaments can last decades. And the light bulb companies realize, we sell a light bulb and we're not going to sell another one for 20, 25 years or however long it was. And so they colluded amongst themselves saying, all right, we are only going to sell light bulbs that last this long. They hurt the customers to make money. You know what? Why are we arguing this? What are we doing? What are we doing here? This isn't even a controversial point. What are we doing? All right.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Yeah.
So we got one. John Fetterman is in the news.
Oh boy,
Senator TJ.
Oh boy, defend your state, John. Defend your state.
There's no defending my state other than the other option was one Dr. Oz, and it's this is how bad it's getting, TJ. I'm starting to think Dr. Oz might have been better. That
shit!
Is how bad. Shit. John, I'm well past Connor Lamb would have been better. Connor Lamb would have been the better nominee. And I fucking voted against him, and I fucking voted for Fetterman. I've said this many times. When I went to vote for Fetterman, it was one of the most proud votes I've ever made because I believed in the guy. Damn, was I wrong. I'm able to be wrong about things. John Fetterman, and who knows, maybe if he didn't have his stroke, things would have been different. Because that's what this expose that came out in the New Yorker magazine, by the way, very funny that expose about a Pennsylvania senator came out in New Yorker magazine. But it, oh God, if you guys haven't heard about this, Fetterman comes under a lot of fire for being non-traditional. He wears the sweatpants or the sweatshirts and the shorts. He says things very matter-of-factly. In many ways, he's kind of like Trump in that way. He speaks like a normal person. He has a very fuck around and find out attitude, right? And all of those things were things that I kind of liked about him.
Yeah.
Going into this. But the problem is when he had his stroke, he went into a massive state of depression. And again, this is not like speculation. He checked himself into a hospital for treatment for his depression. And one of the major things this expose pointed out is that his former chief of staff wrote a letter saying, hey, you're not doing these things that you were supposed to be doing. All of the checks and balances that were supposed to be keeping him, on the path to recovery from the stroke and the depression, everyone that was trying to hold him accountable, he started firing and started getting out of his life. And he had multiple staffers retire. I think it was a month after that letter was sent, he got into a car crash driving over the speed limit on a major highway. I think it was I-76 or I-95, one of the two. And he very much hurt his wife. She had to get, some major medical treatment because he fell asleep at the wheel while driving over the speed limit on a highway. It came out today or yesterday that he was at a meeting with a union, and he got so aggressive and violently yelling and defensive that one of his aides came in, ended the meeting, took the union members outside, and just broke down in tears because she didn't know what to do. It's getting really, really bad to the point where you start to wonder, is this man a danger to himself and others? And that is how damning this expose was. I would never be calling for a Democratic senator to be stepping down, especially in a swing state like Pennsylvania, if it wasn't so bad that I think he's going to severely hurt people. But yeah, I'm calling for John Fetterman to resign after this. That is how bad it's gotten.
Yeah, Fetterman has been one of the biggest disappointments politically over the last few years, but it's not something we haven't seen before, unfortunately. The stroke thing. So what did Colby said here? At least John Fetterman showed us that brain damage makes you a conservative. Yeah, that's what we've been saying. That's true. Like after the stroke, he seems suspiciously conservative. The brain not operating at full capacity. The thing with Fetterman is that when I saw this, because I have a few excerpts here. I saw you. Do you have something for Fetterman, John, on the side there to share?
What was that?
Do you have anything to share for the media with Fetterman? I thought I saw his name over there, but if not,
no. That's just
okay.
that's the banner.
Oh, all right, cool. So yeah, I see now. Yeah, I see. All right, so with the Fetterman thing, I got a couple of the excerpts here from the article that Jellison wrote, and right here, the first one was. The concern I saw was people talking about how, like you mentioned, he was acting strange in some sort of meeting, in the union meeting. He was yelling, "Why is everybody so mean to me?" I don't know. The first stuff I read, I was like, this doesn't seem that crazy. But then I read this part right here. But it wasn't just staffers who were upset. There was also Fetterman's wife, Giselle, who had become something of a political celebrity in her own right. She is a kind-hearted philanthropist, the proprietor of a free store in Braddock that gave away goods and clothing, a formerly undocumented immigrant from Brazil, and a vocal progressive. In early November, just weeks after the attack, Giselle arrived at her husband's Senate office, and according to a staffer present, they got into a heated argument. They are bombing refugee camps. How can you support this? The staffer recalled her saying with tears in her eyes. That's all propaganda, Fetterman replied. Later, a still visibly upset Giselle pulled the staffer aside. She asked him if the members of Fetterman's team were pushing him to take these stances for political reasons. The staffer told her that the opposite was true. Many of them were as upset as she was. If you're pushing back on this, there's no hope, the staffer recalled her saying. This is horrible news. A few days later, Giselle texted a different staffer, I am at a breaking point and I can't co-sign this any longer. I'd love some help in language to separate myself from this. Can anyone help me? That one is what really got me. I said, wow, that his wife didn't even see this coming. She did not see it coming at all. She said, like, this guy who, whatever his flaws and foibles were in the past, now they've amplified to a way that she couldn't imagine why. And he was always been kind of like a Zionist or whatever, but she couldn't imagine that after everything that happened over this last year and a half or so, he would still be like stridently against the Palestinian cause. I mean, the stuff that he says about them is absolutely awful. But it did make me wonder, well, not wonder, but think about, we've seen this before. We've seen this with, most notably with, what's her name, Kirsten Sinema, when she was in Arizona. That before she became national prominence, you look at her stuff, she was pretty solid, like a normal lefty. We saw it even with Nancy Pelosi, if you look back to what she was in the 70s. And it got me going down like weird conspiracy theory rabbit hole shit. Like, what if, like, once you get that power, that someone does something to you, like some weird wizardry happens, because there's always a couple of them that they can just, snap to evil at any time. I'm joking about that, by the way, folks. I don't really believe that, but it was just something that came to mind.
Yeah, it's. Can you imagine, TJ? You marry someone, you ostensibly share a lot of values with them. Mm-hmm. They go into politics, and do great things for local community. And I imagine that she was very active in his political life and very much supported a lot of the things that he was doing. Obviously everyone has disagreements. I'm sure they misaligned on some things, but all the major things you're in alignment on. And your partner goes and runs for Senate, and you're so proud to be making a difference and to be pushing for the kinds of changes that you've always wanted to be able to make in this world. And then he has a stroke. And first, you're just like concerned for him. He's the person you love. Of course, like that's terrifying. It's terrifying under any circumstances, let alone when running for a Senate seat. And then he wins the seat, but he's still in a state of, I don't know. He checks himself into a hospital for depression. You hope things are getting better. And then he betrays everything you've ever believed in. All of those shared principles that made you fall in love with him are shattered. As he says about a population of nearly 2 million people, kill them all.
Yep.
I can't imagine the distress she is in and the loneliness and isolation she must feel. And also, and again, I've seen some people on the left attacking her and being like, oh, how could you even pretend to stand by him? Yada, yada, yada. This dude is a crazy person.
Yeah.
With a debilitating mental condition who owns a gun and is a U.S. senator. And who are they going to believe?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine the fear I can't imagine what might have happened to her after this expose came out. I really hope nothing bad did. But like, are you going to tell me with a lot of confidence that you believe nothing bad? Like, it's really, and this is why like he just must like, it's not. He's a danger to himself and others at this point. And if you're a Democrat strategist and you're like, well, it's worth keeping the Senate seat, I'm like, I would rather fight another Senate battle than risk what he might be about to do in the coming weeks, months, and years. Because you let him keep going and he kills someone or does something really crazy otherwise, like the best case scenario is a car accident that kills someone. You know what I mean, DJ?
Yeah, that's what John actually mentioned this earlier. And in the article, in May 2024, Gentleson, that's his staffer, decided it would be best to lay everything out there. I wanted to do what I could to think and try to get him some help, he said. That's why I sent the letter. He also said that he worried Fetterman would end up inadvertently hurting someone else. He engages in risky behavior, he wrote in the letter. He drives recklessly, he FaceTimes, texts, and reads entire news articles while he's driving. I got to say, I do all that shit too. So let's like that part, I was like, okay, I pretty much do all of those, except the FaceTiming.
You read news articals while driving?
I do. And so
TJ, you shouldn't do that. TJ, anyone listening, do not do what TJ does. It's a very bad idea.
Listen, some of my earliest TikTok videos, I would record the TikTok videos while I drove. And I did those all the time when I first started doing TikTok videos. And I kept getting comments like, man, this is very dangerous. Why are you doing it? I was like, okay, you're right. So I've gotten safer driving habits here, but come on, the texting and everything. Okay. And I don't mean while stopped at a light or something. He reads and FaceTimes while driving at high speeds. Less than a month later, Fetterman caught a red-eye flight back from Los Angeles after taping an episode of Bill Maher's show. His staff urged him to have someone pick him up from the airport and drive him home, but he refused. Just before 8 a.m., according to a police report, Fetterman was traveling at well over the 70-mile-per-hour speed limit on I-70, where he smashed his Chevy Traverse into the back of a 62-year-old woman's Impala, totaling both cars. Giselle, who had been in the back seat, suffered a pulmonary contusion and spinal fractures. Fetterman, calling from the side of the road, told a staffer he had fallen asleep at the wheel and handed the phone to the police officer. It's a miracle no one died, the officer said. Yeah, like, crazy. No one knew about this. This was
a year ago. That happened a year. How did that not make the news?
Yeah, that's amazing. That we didn't find out about that. Yeah, it's there was also that congresswoman who she tried to commit suicide a couple of years ago, and we're finding out just now. It's like, yeah, this is people. We got to be responsible here. We can't just, I don't know. Then again, Donald Trump is president, so I mean, we stopped caring about this shit a long time ago. We had Dianne Feinstein staying there until she was 1,000 years old. It's a dark day. It's a dark day.
I mean, I cared about Dianne Feinstein staying in there, but again, this is a different thing. Like the argument with Dianne Feinstein was like she's clearly incapable of doing the job. The job is causing him to maybe kill someone.
Yes, yeah.
It's a very different calculus. The only person Dianne Feinstein was hurting was herself on a personal level. You know.
Well, I'm not. I mean,
I understand.
Yeah,
but like anyone not acting well in the Senate can be hurting people in the same way Dianne Feinstein was. Whereas, like, I wasn't worried that she was going to go run her car,
you're right,
someone and kill them, or just pop off randomly in a meeting and beat someone to death. This is what could happen here, and you don't want that as a party. It's bad.
Yeah,
there's nothing to be gained here.
She was less of an immediate danger than Fetterman seems to be. I agree. And Colby brought up something good. He also skipped his kid's birthday party to go visit his dead friend's gravestone, and his wife didn't know why he wasn't with the family. I forgot all about that. Did you see that one, John?
No, I did not see that one.
Yeah, it was his kid's birthday, one of his daughters, and instead of going to his daughter's birthday party, he went to the gravestone of some guy he went to college with, and his wife was just confused that why anyone would make that decision. Best working theory is Fetterman must have killed that guy. That's the only reason it makes sense to me at all. But other than that, yeah, it's just it's bad. It's bad times. I don't. All right, what's your prediction, John? Do you think that he will step down or anything like that? Do you see that happening?
Oh, he's not going to step down. So it's how does he end? Like the only way he steps down is with a Biden-esque effort to push him out from the entire party. And even then, I don't know if he steps down. I really don't know if they even have any leverage over him because, again, we're dealing for lack of a better term, with a crazy person. Like, we're dealing with someone who isn't all there, clearly. And
well, I mean, they could file a motion to expel him from the Senate. They could try that.
They could, and I guess it would work. I don't know.
I mean, but so Trump expulsion.
How does it work? Do you know the actual mechanism? Like, what do you need a 60 vote?
So yeah, like the Republicans just did that to what's his name? George
Soros,
George Soros, no, George Santos, George Santos. Yeah, so the House has the ability to do that. The House can do it with their members, the Senate can do it with their members, but it's just incredibly rare. Like I think I saw something that the Senate has only expelled, I think, 15 people in history, and 14 of them were during the Civil War. So like people like expelling them just is pretty rare. I'm actually kind of shocked they did it to Santos in the House, but it's possible. It's just that I wouldn't put any money on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is that topic. John Fetterman, you need to get going. The ship is sailing. Anyway, TJ, what do you want to talk about next? We want to talk about a little executive order here.
What you got here? The executive order.
All right. So we got. Damn it. We are working through the technical difficulties on this show, guys. Thank you for hanging in there. Also, let us know in the comments if you like this new design. If you like the direction we're headed, we're always looking for feedback. But anyway, Donald Trump has signed a dangerous executive order. Our guest wanted to talk about this. Unfortunately, Coach D was unable to make it. But when he texted me, he said, "Hey, I want to talk about the dangerous executive order Trump just signed that's going to really endanger marginalized communities." I had to text him and say, "But which one are you talking about?" And he was like, fair enough. So what we're talking about here is and I really should have pulled up the name of this so I remember exactly what it was. So give me a second while I stall to find that. It is the Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Citizens Act. And, this definitely got like some coverage. It is getting enough, mostly because it hasn't done anything yet. It's one of those executive orders that like kind of lays the groundwork for a lot of things to be done. So like, it's one of those ones where at the best case scenario, all this does is make it easier for police to access unused military equipment. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that relative to all of the other bullshit. But the things that it could enable Trump to do are massive. Particularly, what it very much seems intended to do is to use the military to police U.S. citizens domestically. And that is very, very, very scary. And it also answered the question of why is Trump trying to get all of these big law firms to do pro bono work for him? And this executive order essentially gave us the answer to that because it specifically directs private law firms to give pro bono legal assistance to any cop that is challenged with an accusation of a crime as a result of trying to carry out Donald Trump's agenda. What he is doing here is he's trying to take over the power over local law enforcement from state and local officials and essentially put local law enforcement under the executive branch of the United States federal government. And this is one of those things that I don't know how Republicans stand by it. I don't know how Republicans stand by it on any level. It is one of the most like obvious examples of big government taking over local control that you could possibly imagine. And the answer to that there's not much hubbub about it is because nothing bad has actually happened yet. But this is one of the scary ones, folks. Like this is one of the ones where most likely we're going to be talking about this 6 to 12 months from now as the legislation that laid the groundwork for some really bad shit. TJ, did you hear much about this executive order coming in?
No. I remember seeing the title on this, and I think I heard the part about the military equipment for police officers. That's the only one that I actually remember, because it's already just really dark whenever you see local police offices that have tanks basically and helicopters and shit, like, oh man, like the advanced weaponry they have. So that was already a little concerning. I didn't hear anything about the using federal funds to back police defense for I guess unauthorized interactions with the civilian populace, or maybe the extra legal stuff that Trump is going to ask law enforcement to do. I hadn't heard anything about that, and I don't know. Are you really surprised that Republicans don't have a problem with this? Like, are you really surprised by that at all?
I guess I'm not so. I'm not really surprised, at least for the congressional Republicans. I'm surprised that more normal people, boots on the ground Republicans, more of the conservative influencers don't at least have some sort of, especially the more libertarian leading ones, don't have any sort of exception to that. Because it is like, this is the scary stuff, this is stuff where even if you, okay, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, right? I'm gonna say, hey, I'll agree with you that Trump isn't actually Hitler, right? But this is the kind of thing that Hitler would do if he wanted to do Hitler shit. So why is it even necessary in the first place? And it kind of speaks to a lot of what is going on right now, where in the language of this executive order, it, talks about things like an unprecedented crime wave, an invasion in our country, and it's a national emergency. And that's the justification for doing all these things. And it just doesn't exist. Like, there is no crime wave. There is no invasion of our country. You can say, like, we have illegal immigrants and we shouldn't have illegal immigrants, and that's fine. But there is no crime wave as a result. We just do not have escalating rates of crime right now. It is not a real thing that is actually happening. And so what the hell is the point of giving law enforcement more tools to potentially eradicate our freedoms? Like, again, I'm trying to say this in a way that should appeal to conservatives of, hey, maybe the state should control their own local law enforcement instead of the federal government. Isn't that the entire purpose of being a small government conservative? And maybe you never cared about that. I don't know. But if you ever did, how the hell do you justify this?
I mean, if we're trying to steelman the conservative viewpoint on this, I think we could, in that it's not so much that they think that there's no scenario in which the federal government could use this type of force. And I think we would agree, too, that if there is a national emergency that warranted this reaction, okay, if this saves a life, people's lives, if this needs to happen for the nation to survive, we're all going to die if we don't do it. Okay, we can envision there would be some scenario in which this happens. And you're right, there is no national major crime wave. Crime was a lot higher just 4 years ago. But they would say, I'm pretty sure, the existence of the illegal immigrants in the country is the crime wave in and of itself. Like, it doesn't matter if they're actually doing anything violent. They've all broken or committed a civil, they wouldn't say committed a civil infraction. They would say broken a law, when they're here. So we have tens of millions of lawbreakers on the loose. Now, once again, I think that's bullshit. I think it's nonsense. But if that is what you believe, if you believe that the survival of your nation is actually at stake, and a lot of them do think that, like, a lot of them genuinely believe that it's all over now that we have undocumented immigrants, like we always have, but they're delusional. So I think that if they can accept that framework, it doesn't seem shocking that they wouldn't have a huge problem with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to believe, you have to genuinely believe that the country is under some great threat. Which,
they do, though. They do believe it.
People believe completely, insane things all the time, but it just isn't.
It isn't. Yeah.
Like you can believe that, go ahead, but and this is the struggle. This is the real struggle, TJ, because what's stopping him from just saying there is? You know, like the way that our government is set up right now, because of the expansion of powers under the unitary executive theory that has been pervasive ever since Reagan, but especially ever since 9/11. It's just like he's making the legal argument that, well, I see it as a national security threat.
Yeah.
I don't need to prove that it is. I just need to say that it is, and that is all the proof that is needed. And as long as everyone just keeps lying about it, I'm going to keep saying it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And he might be right, TJ. Like, I don't know what there is to be done about it.
I think so, because that's where the tariffs come from too. That the president doesn't generally have the authority to levy tariffs, but if there's a national emergency, which he's declared we're under one, he has the authority to do that. And unless a court decides you can't do it, or if Congress strips some of those powers, they won't. I don't see any reason. Trump is a unique case here, in that this shit wouldn't have worked for most presidents. In fact, I can't think of one in my lifetime where it would have worked, where you can just do something this insane over and over and over again, but he has a cult behind him who don't think he's done anything wrong. You can still talk to Trump supporters today that even with the economy collapsing, even with everyone who is familiar with shipping and docks and supply chains saying, wow, this is going to get really bad really quick, they're still thinking this is great. This is fantastic. They see him wasting time with World War I and World War II fake holidays, and we need to rebuild Alcatraz. None of it matters. So, him doing crazy shit, they're like, oh, well, we trust Trump. We trust him. Like, he's their daddy. He's their God. So, yeah, I don't think there is anything stopping him until his term is up. Honestly, he can just keep doing this forever.
Well, I mean, nothing's stopping him until Republicans lose control of Congress, which will happen at this rate. But like, yeah, that's the scary.
Real quick, do you? Because let's say the Democrats control Congress and they strip Trump of, say, tariff authority or whatever. Well, what if he still says no? I'm going to do it, and the people who collect and the agencies who collect the tariffs, that's an executive function. They just follow. Like, what do we do?
So I don't think they can. So like, yeah, you're right, like there, but we have seen already that the courts have been able to block Trump from doing things, and the people have followed the courts, not the president. So at a certain point, he's kind of doing with Gilmore Brego Garcia, where he's just like, fuck it. But that's a situation where the thing has already happened, and he's saying that the court can't force him to bring him back, which, look, at least there's like a legal argument to be done. Like it's not requiring action from one of the underlings, right? Whereas if you look at like, he hasn't deported anyone else. He hasn't denied those court orders. The people under him haven't just like been like, yeah, we're going to ignore the court orders. So I imagine that if they took back control of Congress and passed legislation that said, no, we're not doing these tariffs anymore, the courts would uphold that. And I don't think that the IRS, or I honestly don't know the agency which collects tariff revenue. I would guess it's the IRS, but I could be wrong about that. But
Customs.
Is it customs? That does it? Yeah. I mean, who fucking knows, right? Like, who fucking knows? But point here is he has already shown that the courts are able to control him somewhat. So I don't think that would be the case. However, there is a big question of, will we even get there? So the first thing I want to show here, I'm going to add this to the stage, is that the part of the clause that showed the lawyer thing, because this is the executive clause that loop. This mechanism shall include the use of private sector pro bono assistance for such law enforcement officers, and that is the thing. Like he was going after all the law firms of like, hey, give us this pro bono work, never saying what it was for. Seems like that this is what it's going to be for, and. This is the scary part. Okay, so the order also directs the Department of Justice to go after state and local officials who willfully and unlawfully direct the obstruction of criminal law, including by directly and unlawfully prohibiting law enforcement officers from carrying out duties necessary for public safety and law enforcement. That's scary. Because we've already seen with Judge Homan what that means to them. And we had a comment here. I forget who asked it. And I completely lost it. I had it. This is terrible radio.
What was it about?
But it was saying like, hey, like, do you think that they're going to use this to go after the leaders of sanctuary cities? And the answer is 100% yes. Oh yeah, Colby asked, do you think that first cases will be when Homan and Bondi start going after sanctuary city leaders? Yeah, I think that is the plan. I mean, we've already seen Homan ask this question where they're like, are you going to go after sanctuary city leaders? He's like, you'll see what's coming. You know, this is one of those things where it's like, this is a cohesive plan that's starting to come together, and whether or not Trump will be able to execute it is a totally other question. But you're seeing the pieces of this plan start to come together, where they're going to integrate the military into the police forces, take that control away from the governors, and attack these leaders that stand against them in the same way they arrested Judge Homan. And Judge Homan, what? No, Homan.
I remember the judge's name. Yeah,
I'm completely forgetting the judge's name at this.
Yeah,
point.
I remember
Too many fucking things to remember. TJ, someone, if you can remember the Wisconsin judge that they arrested, drop it in the chat. But this is the plan. This is the plan. It's very clearly being laid out in front of us. And again, I don't have faith in Trump's ability to execute it, but it is the way things are headed.
The sanctuary cities question that Colby asked there, that's an interesting one. So for those of you wondering what we're talking about, what a sanctuary city is, I think there's a lot of confusion with folks about sanctuary cities. And so the enforcement of immigration law is strictly a federal purview. That is the federal government's job. This is actually the problem we ran into on the opposite side in Texas, when Greg Abbott tried to create his own immigration force and immigration law with the Texas National Guard. That's not how it works. And the Biden had to, deal with it that whatever way he did. But states can't create their own immigration law and immigration enforcement. But that means they also don't have to cooperate with the federal government if they don't want to. So if you are in charge of a city and federal immigration officials say, hey, we think that you have X number of illegal immigrants in your city. Can you help us find them? You can tell the federal government to fuck off. Like, that's the law. And so you're a sanctuary city. You don't have to deal with that. So with them coming after sanctuary cities with legality, there's nothing they can do. But they could do what John said, is like try to commandeer local areas and say, well, you're working with the federal government now, and we're going to go after them that way. That's the one way they could do it. But they couldn't actually arrest anybody under any law that exists, So, but that's
there's a lot of things they can't do under any law.
It'd be a lot harder. It would be a lot harder than some poor immigrant and everything, right? But so this is a little bit off topic here, but we're talking about what people would do in certain cases. Like, I thought about this with Trump and the Supreme Court. Again, it's harking back to Andrew Jackson, when the Supreme Court told Andrew Jackson that he couldn't force all the Native Americans out of Florida. Andrew Jackson said, fuck you, and did it anyway. Who's going to stop me? I saw this article the other day. I won't read it, but I just want to share what the gist of it was. And it's about Vladimir Putin. And it says, Putin says he hopes Russia will not need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, which is a weird thing to say, which is a very weird thing. It's like, wow, I really hope we don't have to use nuclear weapons, because why would that even be an option? But had a conversation with a friend of mine about this a while ago. What if he did? What if he did? What if tomorrow morning Vladimir Putin dropped a nuclear bomb in Ukraine? What would happen? I don't know the answer. I genuinely don't. And I started thinking about it too. It's like, if I were the president of the United States, what would my next move be if Vladimir Putin dropped the bomb? Because this entire nuclear stability thing that we've had since the end of World War II is predicated on the idea that, well, obviously these large nuclear powered nations aren't going to use nuclear weapons against each other, because if someone used one, the other country would retaliate. But I don't think I would choose to send a nuclear bomb to Russia if they used one. I don't think that would solve any problems. That would only make it worse. What do you think would happen, John? Or what do you think a good idea would be?
Yeah, so let's war game this out, right? Obviously, if Russia dropped a nuke on Ukraine, we shouldn't nuke them back. That would be really, really dumb. That's how the world ends.
Yes.
So yeah, what's stopping Putin from doing that? It's not the U.S. It's the countries he's currently allied with. Like, that's the question of, will China continue to trade with Russia if they drop a nuke? and China don't want that.
No.
China, no one wants nukes flying around. So I would hope it's actually not nuclear deterrence preventing Putin from doing that, because Ukraine can't nuke him back, and no one's going to be shooting nukes around in order to defend Ukraine. And it's more the diplomatic and economic deterrence that prevents it from happening, because that's like a line that we all kind of just agree we do not cross for the sake of not ending humanity. And if someone does cross it, you better fucking hope that everyone in unison goes, fuck you, we're not dealing with you anymore. Like, at that point, you almost have to send like SEAL Team 6 in to just.
That's all right. So
like that's or you need a coordinated multinational military operation. Maybe just bomb the shit out of the Kremlin. I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know how. You just have to take Putin out and just be like, whoever comes in the power vacuum, we will deal with that. Just don't launch another nuke. Like that. That's all that matters.
So, John, I came to the exact same conclusion. Because it's funny. I went through the same process you did here, because, a military strike against Russia would be a mistake, because if they've shown that they're willing, or Putin, I've shown that, yeah, I'll drop a nuke on Ukraine. You think he won't send one to you? Like, of course he would. Like, why? He has nothing to lose at this point. So, yeah, but also if China or anyone else says we're putting crippling sanctions on you that are on top of your nation, that's essentially an act of war. Why wouldn't he nuke you as well? Are you going to nuke him back? You keep getting it shows how fragile and honestly a little nonsensical this whole mutually assured destruction thing is, because it relies on two people, or at least two nations, being willing to destroy life on Earth. And I don't think you're going to have that happen at the same time. And I came to the same conclusion that you would have to work with literally every nation on Earth. Like this would be the most unified front in human history, that, yeah, we have our spies, our special operatives. We need to take him out, because whoever's left, I guarantee he's not going to be a genocidal on a nuclear level. There's no chance there's two people in the line of succession like that. But all it would take is one crazy guy to just not give a fuck and says, yeah, I'm going to do it. But I was just thinking about that. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow. I'm sure people have this contingency plan laid out, but pretty scary to read.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our next topic here, TJ. So we want to discuss a little masculinity topic with Coach D coming on. Unfortunately, he was unable to join us in case you came here and we're waiting to see what he was going to come up with. But this is what we were going to do. We were going to talk about what Democrats appeal most to men. And TJ, let me tell you. So I looked up some polling data from YouGov to find the Democratic politicians with the highest approval ratings among men. And the results were shocking. All right, let's see it. They were not what I thought they were. Well, you're not going to see it yet, TJ, because I want you to kind of guess as to who these people are. So I've created a little game for us to play. Okay. And I will share my screen here. And we have the top 11. And the reason that it's the top 11, and I'm just going to be very honest with you right now, the top 12. Well, the reason it's the top 12, I forget who the 12th is. The reason I didn't go top 10 is because the 10th one is utter bullshit and you'll never guess it. And the 11th one is someone that you might guess. So anyway, I'm going to give you a couple qualifiers here, TJ, right? We're going to go here. And we're going to go here. There we go. So I'm going to give you a couple qualifiers here, TJ, and I'll zoom in. These people, what the fuck? These people do not have to be current politicians. That there are some non-in-office people here, right? So like the first thing to think about is ex-presidents are definitely on this list. And I really wish that this had the functionality to zoom in more, TJ. But that's what we're going to do. So all Democrat politicians, who do you think the number one highest approval rating is with among men? And I will also, these statistics on the right, this is the approval rating. This is the percentage of people who responded about this person. So that those are the two numbers that you're seeing on the right here.
Of all Democratic politicians, which one has the highest approval rating? Well, I'll go with Ash here. Ash says AOC. Is AOC our number one?
It is not AOC, and I'm going to very quickly
God
pass
damn
this.
you, Ash.
The number one is the number one is such bullshit. It's going to piss you off, TJ. But
oh no,
he's not even alive, TJ.
Oh
Jimmy
come on.
Carter is the number one most popular Democratic politician among men in terms of approval rating. Which it makes people have a very high opinion of Jimmy Carter. The problem is he's dead and obviously no longer active in politics. So that one we're just going to give a mulligan on. Now, and this is the thing, that through line here I want to remind you of is we're not talking about necessarily the people who exhibit the most manly traits. This is approval rating among men, which the fact that those two things are not the same, I think, is very telling. But definitely something to keep in mind. Number 2, highest approval rating among Democratic political figures among men.
Okay, so I guess I don't know, maybe I was misunderstood. Jimmy Carter, I don't think that should even count. Like, why is that even
I agree.
Why is that even being asked? So like these people don't necessarily need to be options to run for president or anything.
Correct.
It's just Democrat. Bernie Sanders.
So it is not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, however, is on this list. He is number 6.
Damn.
The number 2 most popular. You're going to be shocked by all of this. Is all so like I could not believe any of this. Number 2. This one does make sense. Barry Obama.
Okay, that's what Ash got one. Yeah, thanks.
Good job, Ash. Yeah, no, Obama. I mean, that one makes sense. Obama is traditionally well received among men. I think. Like,
yeah.
You'd say he's a fairly relatively manly man, at least in terms of politicians. He definitely gets those points, and he's a very popular figure in among Democratic politicians in general. Now, these next 2, number 3 and 4, they are not men; they are women. Who do you think the top 2 women are in terms of approval rating? Is it a percentage of people who have a positive opinion?
Is it Michelle Obama?
It is not Michelle Obama. She is not on this list at all. I imagine she was not given because she probably would be on it otherwise.
Let's see. We have, Crockett and AOC. Are they up there?
Okay, it's neither of them.
Damn.
But these are both minority women.
Who's left? We have Barbara Lee, no. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, no chance.
No. You're forgetting a very obvious one here.
Oh, who is it?
It's probably because you think she can't possibly have a high approval rating.
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh no.
No, she's not a minority. Not a minority. No, who is it?
Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah, you're right. Didn't even cross my mind. Yep.
Somehow.
Didn't even cross my mind. Yep.
Little embarrassing there, TJ.
I know. I would have never gotten there. I would have never got there.
And then our highest ranked woman for men is our wonderful Native American Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Okay. You know what? This list, John. No, get the fuck out of here, man. Come on. You know what? I was playing ball with this whole time. But Elizabeth Warren, you know what? Fine.
I like Elizabeth Warren. I feel like Elizabeth Warren doesn't have a lot of negatives about her.
You're telling me Elizabeth Warren is higher than AOC? I mean, it's just like, what the? Oh, come on. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Insanity.
There's not as much negative polarization against Elizabeth Warren. I think that's kind of.
All right.
AOC is on this list, though. We have a couple spots here. Where do you think she ranks?
All right. Okay. Is she? What are these 11 names you said?
12.
12. Let's go 12. I mean, why not? Nothing else makes sense on this list.
Not 12.
Okay.
She's 7, right behind Bernie Sanders. It makes sense those two would be connected. The 5th place here.
Stop. No, hold on. I just realized I didn't catch your joke where you said 2 minority women. I didn't catch that joke till just now. Just when Zeke said it, 5 minority. Yeah, that's right. That was funny. That was good, John. That was good. I didn't catch that. Very good.
So number 5 here. I'll give you a hint. Not an active politician. Not been active and has not been active for quite some time.
No. Don't tell me it's Bill Clinton.
It is
one. No.
William Clinton.
No,
at number
okay.
5.
Burn this list with fire. What the fuck? Come on, Bill Clinton. Damn. Listen, Democrats, we should all be ashamed that any Democratic poll has a majority high opinion of Bill Clinton. That is sad. I mean, in between between Bernie and who? Where is he?
Bill Clinton? He's number 5.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Oh.
Yeah. So after Bernie and Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, we take a leftward turn there.
Okay.
And then we start maybe looping back to some of the moderates. We got 2 moderates in 8th and 9th place here. Who do you think they might
moderates?
Be?
2 moderates.
Moderates, very, very fairly high name recognition moderates.
Wow. High name recognition moderates. Are we talking Chuck Schumer?
Not Chuck Schumer. Everyone hates him. He did not make the top 20 even fucking close.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't know who we got.
We got the governor of California, one Gavin Newsom in 8th place.
This fucking
which
list
makes sense. I understand.
Yeah,
I get it. Number 9 is the former president, Joe Biden, as the number 9 most approved of Democratic politician among men.
What are those?
Now,
this
is where it goes off. So the one on the right is the percentage of respondents who have a favorable opinion of the person. The one on the left is the percentage of respondents who responded about the person. So that kind of makes sense where you see Barack Obama, 98% have an opinion about Barack Obama, but AOC a little bit less. So yeah.
Damn, Joe Biden at 45. Damn, that's embarrassing. Whew.
That's very embarrassing. Honestly, it's embarrassing that literally every Democratic politician is losing to a dead man. That might be the most embarrassing thing about all of this.
Yeah.
But number 10, you're never going to guess number 10. It's the reason that I didn't make this list 10, but also I just screenshotted this and couldn't manipulate it. So
yeah,
Robert Reich is for some reason
what? Robert Reich.
Yeah.
Why?
Right. Is it Reich? Is it Reich? I really don't know how to pronounce his name. Yeah, I don't know how he ended up on the list. Was he ever a politician?
I was going to ask. Well, did he ever run for office? I don't remember him ever running for office.
I only know him as an influencer. So, I actually don't know his backstory. I just know who he is.
I know the primary reason I know about Robert Reich is that I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh when I was a kid every day, and he would always talk about an article he's reading from Robert Reich. He would always say it that way, but yeah, I wouldn't have. Yeah, what's he doing on this list? That's weird.
Yeah, no, it's very funny. Also very funny, the shortest man is the one who's appealing to men, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
The last 2 here, we have one that I would have put much higher on this list in terms of appealing to men, and one that I cannot fucking believe is on the list at all.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think they may be?
One you can't believe is on the list at all, and one that you think is not appealing to men. Is that what you said?
Yes. So take a relatively well-known Democratic name that you could not believe would appeal to men, and then one that is also a well-known Democratic name that you think would maybe have been higher on this list.
Let's see. One who I couldn't possibly see appealing to men. Wow.
Well, I know that doesn't really fucking narrow it down too much.
No. I would. My guess would be Amy Klobuchar, but I can't imagine she has name recognition to be on. What?
Ding, 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 ding,
Are you
ding.
kidding
Number
me?
12.
Wow. Damn. Talk about a Hail Mary. I didn't think for a chance that would be on the list. Wow. Well, okay. Who's the other one then? There's no way I'm getting that lucky twice.
Well, you gotta take it. You gotta push your luck here, TJ.
Okay, so
the hint here is it is a well-known Democratic name who John thinks would have been higher on this list in terms of their appeal to men specifically.
Jasmine Crockett?
No, Jasmine. That's a great answer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Jasmine Crockett has the name recognition to be on this list, at least in the year 2025.
Yeah.
I think she will.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one Tim Walz.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
I
have
feel
thought
bad not guessing Tim Walz. Yeah, I should have guessed him sometime in there. Yeah, yeah. I'd have guessed him
but
a bit
yeah, that
higher,
is our
actually.
list. That is our list. It goes Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Bill Clinton, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden, Robert Reich, Tim Walz, Amy Klobuchar. Those are the 12 Democratic political figures who have the highest positive favorables among men. And to give you a little hint, what comes next? It's Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, Hakeem Jeffries, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, Adam Schiff.
Tulsi Gabbard. Wow, man.
Tulsi Gabbard somehow gets on that list. Yeah, that is where we're at. TJ, any thoughts about this nightmare list?
Yeah. I was about to say nightmare blunt rotation if I've ever seen one. This is most people on this list. I can't believe were even who cares what someone's opinion on Robert Reich is. By the way, Hugh Jash came in for us. Thanks. Reich was also a political economist under Ford and Carter before. Well, yeah, he was labor secretary under Clinton. I didn't know that. So thank you, Hugh. On there. He should be doing the show instead of us. We didn't remember.
Yeah, so it's actually really funny. So I'm going to screen share this other screen here. So what I'm about to show is the same results for women, and how their popularity is among women. So among women, Barry takes the top spot.
Okay.
Away from Jimmy Carter. And after that, we have Kamala Harris. This top three, I understand. I very much understand that. And then Bernie and AOC right there. However, much bigger delta between Bernie and AOC among women, which is kind of surprising. Being Bernie at the top,
it is.
I feel like if I was a woman and I saw Alexander AOC, I'd be like, "You go, girl!" Like that. That's how I would feel like the response would be. But I guess that is not true. Then Hillary Clinton, way higher on this list than it was on the men's list. Elizabeth Warren, way more popular with men than women. Who would have thought? Bill Clinton, still somehow
Bill Clinton. God damn it, man.
Tim Walz also appealing higher to women than to men, and then Joe Biden, Pete. Madeleine Albright somehow.
Madeleine Albright. Okay, you know what?
This is the insane thing to me is that the women's popularity, like you'll notice, way lower across the board than the men's in terms of favorable views of Democratic politicians, which is surprising given that women are much more strongly vote for Democrats. So very interesting results here from YouGov. You can take them with the grains of salt that it really deserves. But yeah, that is what we found here with Democrats appealing to women. If you were to take a guess, TJ, like if you were to say who's the most appealing of the current contenders, not ex-presidents, not everyone, because I think the biggest takeaway from that list is, hey, if you run for president, you have name recognition that is way higher than everyone else, and it boosts all of your ratings. That was very apparent throughout that list. But other than that, who do you think of the Democratic figures would be most appealing to the American male demographic?
From that list, or I guess from anybody, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think like Tim Walz is our guy. I think who checks the most boxes.
If you let Tim Walz cook, I think a lot of some negative perception was because they didn't let him cook.
Yeah, I agree. They kind of caged him right away. He came out. I mean, I think that he would probably check the most, but hard to say. But that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I hate to say Gavin Newsom, but I think it's Gavin Newsom.
Really?
Just the look.
Maybe really so, because I'm allowing my personal biases here because I find that look repulsive. I'm sure you do too. Like you can just it's a greaseball politician, and maybe it would work. I don't know, but that just makes my skin crawl.
All right. Well, that was our Democratic politician ranking. I was very surprised by that. I also thought it made a pretty decent segment. I thought it would be really difficult without Coach D here to talk about it. But I think it ended up working well. So last thing that we have on the slate here is some clips to discuss, top clips of the week. But anything else that you want to chat about before we get into that?
Yeah, let's get into the clips. Those are always fun.
All right, here we go. So we are going to. I don't know why it's. I thought I set it up so I could just switch between them, TJ. We're going to be looking into this more. But we got the top clips of the week here. So we're going to start. We'll start with one that I wanted to chat about. I actually made a TikTok about it today.
All right.
But it was a clip of one of Charlie Kirk's campus debate tours.
Oh no!
Did you see this?
I'm pretty sure I did see your video on this. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so we'll put this here. I won't be self-serving and play my video. I will just be self-serving and play the video off of my Threads post. Reminder to go follow me on Threads. But yes, that is. This is one of those like, oh God, I really hope that most people think the same thing I do about this, but I sincerely expect this to be more controversial than it should be. But here is Charlie Kirk at one of his I Debate College student tours. We're going to start this again.
Wait, are you playing it? Because I don't see or hear anything. John?
You don't. Yeah, that's because I didn't add this to the stage.
Oh,
my bad, guys. I thought I was playing TJ, but that is not the case. So yeah, here we go.
Oh, I don't hear it.
And a sorority girl at age 19 hooking up, both 5 drinks in at 2 a.m. And she like removes consent. Yeah, like that's a murky middle gray area. And excuse me,
she still removed consent, did she not?
Oh, okay, but again,
if he continues to go onward with that encounter,
again,
he is sexually assaulting her.
Again, that is such an unfair categorization. Like again, it's very case dependent. Like a fraternity guy and a sorority girl at age 19 hooking up, both 5 drinks in.
Yeah.
Yep. That is Charlie Kirk making the wonderful argument. If they're 5 drinks in and she removes consent, that is an iffy gray area, and it is unfair to call that sexual assault. TJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that was a wild one, even for Charlie Kirk. Like Charlie Kirk is known for saying stuff that's just, these conservatives have perfected the art of saying something that sounds provocative, that very clearly suggests a conclusion without actually stating the conclusion. Like, well, without actually saying things. They would say stuff along the lines of, wow, sure is weird that black folk have higher crime rates than everybody else. What's up with that? People aren't talking about that. We should solve this problem. Yeah, like, so you know where they're going with stuff like that. But wow, for Charlie Kirk to come right out and say, yeah, if 2 college kids, he also specified fraternity dude and sorority girls, if that matters. I don't know. But, they're 5 drinks in, they start hooking up, she removes consent. That's kind of a gray area. I don't think it is. I don't think like the second she removes consent, it's no longer a gray area. I don't know. Like
it's wild. I can't believe that came out of his mouth, and he was just like, yeah. It's not like he was like, because if he's making the argument of, oh well, sometimes they're both very drunk. It can be difficult to communicate properly in that situation, and sometimes things get miscommunicated. She isn't very clear. They're both drunk. Or again, this happens a lot too. She was giving out some signals of maybe I'm not comfortable with this. He was picking up on it because he was too drunk, and things happened that she didn't want, but she was too drunk to be able to properly communicate. And that is an example of a moral gray area where both sides were too intoxicated. Either side was too intoxicated to be consenting to this situation. They were unable to communicate properly, and bad things happened. That's a moral gray area. But that is not the question that was posed to Charlie Kirk. The question that was posed to Charlie Kirk was, she removes consent.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Damn. That is wild. Yes. Yes.
I don't.
Go ahead.
It always surprises me. I cannot imagine enjoying sex after that happened.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine a girl being like, oh, no, I want us to stop, and then continuing and getting any pleasure in the world. I don't know about you, TJ, but if I even have an inkling of a suspicion that she might not be enjoying it, instantly I stop enjoying it. because I'm like, oh my God, this could be terrible. Let me just make sure and check.
I couldn't agree more. I wanted to acknowledge our supers here with Zeke donating. Once again, thank you, Zeke. Just something for a great show. And damn, I was wondering where he was. Wolfie contributing $1.99. And, you know, he's got like the pause. He can't type very well, so it's just gibberish. But we appreciate it, Wolfie. Thank you so much.
Wolfie. Thank you, Wolfie, for donating your weekly salary to the show.
He is the mascot. Yeah, he is just putting it back. He believes in the project. He's putting it right back into continuing the success of the show. No, but yes, I have said that exact same thing, John, where, that's actually I'm yelling right now. But if I get the idea that someone like doesn't want to have sex or they're not enthusiastic about it, there's no way I can enjoy it. No chance at all. To the extent that, now I'll get too personal here, I couldn't imagine like paying for a sex worker because it's like, oh, she doesn't actually want to do this. She's only doing it because I'm paying her. That doesn't sound exciting to me. And it's so weird that he went straight, like we said, to the unambiguous she removed consent. He didn't even try to, flower it up by saying it was confusing and stuff, because that's what they usually do. And a lot of times you'll see guys talk about this where there'll be a case or a situation in which a woman is, has filed a complaint or a charge against a man for sexual assault. And they say, well, did you ever say no or yell or anything? I say, well, no, I didn't, but I was giving signals. And they'll like to respond with, oh, well, how could he have known if you didn't actually say the word no? And to that, I ask this question all the time to these guys. If you guys have been involved, romantically and sexually, you don't always, you have nonverbal yeses. You know a nonverbal yes. Like, you know it when you see it, so does your partner, and it happens. So they understand that. Like, guys understand nonverbal yeses, but get awful cagey about nonverbal no's, right? Like, a nonverbal no is just as obvious or, as a nonverbal yes, but they seem to forget at that point, but it didn't even go that route. So, yeah, wow. I'd like to see his defense of that. I've seen that clip, but I don't think I've actually seen him address why he said that, because I don't know how you could.
Unfortunately, right after that, he went into abortion. And so, they never really circled back to it. But right before that, he was making the argument that it can't possibly be true that 1 in 5 women get sexually assaulted on college campuses. Because he was like, well, that's like the same statistics as the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And you're telling me women would go willingly to a college if they knew there was a 1 in 5 chance of them being raped? It's like, yeah, buddy, no, that's just called living as a woman. Like, you have to be able to have a 10 to 20% chance of being raped in order to participate in society. That's just the way
it's probably everywhere.
Yeah. They're not going to not do something because of that, because that's just the standard risk they constantly take all the time. And this is why I always say any men who talk like Charlie Kirk does here don't actually have good relationships with women in their lives.
No chance.
They tell them it's so starkly apparent. And again, I grew up in a very sheltered life. I grew up in an incredibly, not incredibly wealthy, but upper middle class, white suburban neighborhood.
Oh boy.
And I had some incredibly wealthy friends, right? And a shocking amount of my friends have been sexually assaulted. I can't imagine what the national statistics are like if my little, protected cul-de-sac had those kind of rates. I would be aghast if it was only 1 in 5. And also, okay, so what if it's 1 in 10? You're telling me half of women are lying about this in the polls.
Yeah.
That's still 10 fucking percent. 10%? You're telling me that's justifiable? Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, it is obnoxious. Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, I hate to see that. That is awful.
Anyway, speaking of incredibly dumb statements made about social issues by conservative media pundits. Did you see what Matt Walsh said this week?
Oh boy, is this about the gay marriage thing?
This is about the about gay adoption specifically.
Okay, adoption. Okay.
Yeah, we'll play this clip here. Oh wait, hold on. Do we add to the? Gotta add it. Gotta add it to the stage, TJ. All right. Here we go.
Care is far from a child being in foster care is far from an ideal scenario. It's very, very sad. A child going to 2 gay parents, I think, is worse. I think it's easily worse, actually.
Why?
It's just more disordered. It's more confusing for the child. Again, neither scenario is good. We don't like either thing, but I don't see going to gay parents as an improvement over the what they had before. So,
do we know that it screws kids up, or we just sort of intuitively know it?
I think we intuitively know, but also there's been plenty of studies done about the mental health effects of kids that grow up in these, single-sex, same-sex parent homes. There's been a lot of studies done about it, but honestly, I don't. You can look at the studies; people will fact check, and they're there. I don't need studies for this. It's the same thing with the trans topic.
I found that clip so interesting.
It's great.
Because, first of all, he made Tucker Carlson go, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you really believe that? Tucker Carlson. So that's how crazy of a stake this is. And he's like, do we know that? Or do we just intuitively know that? The level of inside baseball talk happening right there was incredible. Because even Matt Walsh admits it. He's like, yeah, no, I've seen it. I've had these debates online. I know that the studies and evidence aren't like supporting my opinion here. I don't care. I just don't care about any evidence. I think that being a child with gay parents is worse than being in fucking foster care. What an insane fucking take from an insane person.
Yeah. That was really, I don't know, it lays bare the fact that conservative ideology it's not really about finding the right rules or the right structure or the right system that benefits people. It's about adhering to these codified laws and rules and morals that you've been taught since you were little, and usually to your God, some sort of religious affiliation with it. Because he did. It's funny that he caught it. Well, first Tucker caught him and said, hey, do we know that? Like, is that actually, which is weird here from Carlson of all people. And then Wall says, oh yeah, there's all these studies about same-sex homes or, single-sex homes. And as he trailed off, I think he kind of realized, oh yeah, the studies actually say there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. And which is why he resorted to, actually, I don't need a study. I don't need evidence. I don't need proof. I don't need empirical data. Gay people are icky, therefore kids shouldn't raise them. It's similar to how conservatives will try to say that society was a lot better in the 60s or something. That's when things were better, And you say, well, you look at the stats, like poverty was higher, the crime was worse, sexual assault was higher, like everything is worse. Oh yeah, I understand that. But women wore longer skirts and we didn't listen to rap music. And that's what I really care about. That's really all it is. Like, it doesn't matter if, gay parents have raised children that are more successful with less trauma, less stress. And none of that matters. It just matters that he doesn't like gay people. That's really what it comes down to. It was amazing to watch him say it out loud.
All right. Do you have any clips that you want to show, TJ?
So I do. I don't. This is actually the clip I tried playing on Tuesday. Do you remember? I wanted to play that. It's about the dolls. I don't know if you've seen it since then, but it's a CNN clip.
Maybe.
Oh shit. Oh no. What has happened? Okay. I tried.
What did you do?
I tried hitting media presentation on the left, like you told me. And,
and it's all broken.
Okay, all right. I was making sure. It's like, damn, I was following instructions. Okay, here we go. All right. You got to be shitting me. Is it playing?
I can hear it.
Is the fact that every rich person I know, their daughter has 2 or 3 dolls, maybe a couple American Girl dolls, 2 or 3 expensive, nice dolls, and no crap from China. But if you go into a broke person's house, that floor is littered with broken toys from the dollar store.
So now we're shaming people for being
Barbie shaming. Is the opportunity to make enough money to make the same decisions that every rich person is already making and keeping the cheap toys away from their kids. And the people braying the loudest about this are the people who would never let their kids buy those crappy toys. And it is so offensive to me because when you talk to working class people, they sound just like the president. They would love to be buying high quality stuff for their kids instead of 1,000 cheap things that are going to break immediately because that's what they can afford.
That's the worst defense of Donald Trump, because China makes 80% of all toys sold in this country.
The most, but they're real people who, let's think about this like for real, like people who really don't have a lot of money. Here's what they're really thinking. They're not thinking, I want to buy the most expensive doll for my child. They're thinking, I want to buy a doll for my child.
Okay, I wanted to show that clip. For some reason, I couldn't hear it. Like, I was like just straining just to hear anything from that. I don't know what's up with that. But I love the fact that conservatives are being forced to defend the insane shit Trump says every single day. Like, it is just getting out of control more and more, because her coming up there saying, oh, I like how she said, all my rich friends have these expensive dolls. You ever go to a broke person's house? You go to a broke ass person. She actually said that, a broke person's house, and see the cheap crap they have strewn all over the floor. The best part about that video, though, is she mentioned that all of the rich people she knows, they have these high quality, high priced American Girl dolls. Those dolls are also manufactured in China, which is the best part of that entire thing, that they're also manufactured in China. It's perfect. It's perfect. So that's MAGA for you. That's all they got.
There's so many levels of, again, it's just levels of dumb. Like the deeper down you dig, it just gets more dumb. Because you're right. Yeah. Oh, the high quality stuff coming from America, from China. No, that's also coming from China. You dumbass. Like, and that's a pretty famous one, that American Girl doll is made in China. I'm surprised she didn't know that. But also, like, I don't even understand the logic of this argument. It doesn't make any sense. Are they expecting us to believe that poor people buy shitty products because they want to buy Chinese products and don't want to buy high quality American products? And it's not because they don't have the money to spend on the higher quality shit. Like, again, it's not like we're not making things cheap in America by choice. And if we made them cheaper, they would be lower quality. Like, there's no part of this argument that makes any sense whatsoever, unless you think poor people should just have less shit. Poor people don't deserve so many dolls. They should have less dolls. Not more American dolls of better quality, but just less shit. They shouldn't have it. It's not okay that poor people get to play with dolls.
Right. I think she is trying to argue that, yes, the cheap crap from China is going to be more expensive, but they should not buy the cheap crap anyway. They should, instead of buying 30 cheap dolls, they should buy 3 expensive dolls, which, it's also a misunderstanding of the poor tax. Like, they don't get it. They don't understand. For those who wonder what the poor tax is, it's like John being from the rich family, like he said he was. I'm not going to forget that. But so instead of going out and buying a $200 pair of shoes, John, like, say he was poor, he didn't have the money. He only has $40 for shoes. So he buys the $40 pair of shoes, but the $200 pair of shoes lasts him several years. The $40 pair of shoe might last a few months. So he ends up spending more always buying those $40 pairs of shoes. Same thing happening with the dolls, right? Like, these kids, they don't have the money at any given time to buy an $80 doll for their kid. Like, it's not going to happen. Also, what's funny about this is they have no problem saying this to poor people. You know what? Buck up. Stop complaining. Stop whining. Stop spending your money at Arby's or your avocado toast or whatever. Get rid of your Netflix subscription. You never hear them say this is billionaires. Maybe billionaires could do without a few billion extra dollars. Like, maybe they could make do. No. You, the regular person and poor people, you guys suffer, but you'll never hear that argument levied the other way, which I don't know how Republicans don't see it, but we know the real reason they're voting for these folks.
All right. And with that is the end of this video. Thank you. If you made it to this point, you might have heard that I grew up in a rich neighborhood, and you might have heard TJ flame me for that. And all I have to say is, Well, you probably didn't see me there because you were only recruiting in the poor neighborhoods for the Army. Anyway, TJ, since we don't have a guest, how about you just take us away?
You know what? I recruited in poor and rich neighborhoods for the United States Army. A great and brilliant and noble service if I've ever ran across one. If you have any questions about how you could serve your country, the United States Army, feel free to contact TJ Whitehead, TLWJR1@gmail.com. I'll hook you up with the best recruiter available, which is me, so the second best recruiter. Catch you guys later.